Welcome to Guts and Guns.
Ever feel like you need, I don't know, a secret decoder ring just to keep up with new laws?
Yeah.
Especially when, bill numbers seem to get recycled. It really keeps you on your toes, doesn't it?
It absolutely does.
Today, we're hoping to cut through some of that noise. We're doing a super focused deep dive into California Assembly Bill 10078, specifically for the 2025-2026 legislative session.
Right.
And this isn't just any bill. This specific one focuses entirely on firearms.
And that's a really, really crucial distinction to make right up front.
Okay.
Because this AB 2070, the 2025-2026 one, it is not the AB 1078 that was signed into law back in October 2023.
Right, I remember that one. That was about schools.
Exactly. That earlier bill dealt with school curriculum and, preventing book bans. This reusing of bill numbers, it's pretty common practice in California, but it definitely leads to a lot of public confusion.
I can see that.
So yeah, our mission today is just to slice through that confusion, give you the precise details of the current firearms-related AB 2070.
Okay, so consider this your shortcut, folks. Your way to get informed on what sounds like a really complex and still evolving piece of legislation.
That's the plan.
In this deep dive, we're going to cover the bill's current status, where it is right now. We'll look at its proposed changes to firearm licensing.
Which are pretty significant.
Yeah, sounds like it. And some, intriguing shifts in purchase limits and also how it impacts transportation rules.
Right.
We'll break down why these proposed changes are, significant for California and what they could mean for you. Okay, let's unpack this then. California Assembly Bill 1078. It was introduced by Assemblymember Berman back on February 20, 2025.
Correct.
And it's already had quite a journey through the process, right? From what we've seen, it successfully passed the Assembly. That was June 2nd, 2025. And with pretty substantial support, too. We're talking 57 ayes to just 19 noes. What does that kind of early momentum, especially with that clear partisan backing, tell us?
Well, that initial strong support, especially, you said from one party and with those kinds of numbers,
yeah,
it certainly signals a clear legislative intent. There's a solid foundation for the bill.
Okay.
It means it passed that first chamber with, significant political will behind it.
Right.
And what's noteworthy is that after passing the Assembly, its status was marked as engrossed on June 2, 2025.
Engrossed. What does that mean exactly in legislative terms?
Good question.
Yeah.
Engrossed basically means the Assembly has finalized its version of the bill. It's all tidied up and ready to move to the next House, the Senate in this case.
Got it.
And from there, it's considered at 50% progression.
Right.
Because it's completed, half of its legislative path.
Okay, halfway there. So it made it to the Senate. Where does it stand now? Is it moving quickly there too?
Well, it moved over to the Senate, yes. And it was referred to the Senate Public Safety Committee on June 11th, 2025.
Okay. Public safety. Makes sense.
But here's where it gets really interesting. As of June 26, 2025, so pretty recently, the bill was actually amended by its author.
Oh.
And re-referred back to that same committee, the Public Safety Committee.
Back? Why would that happen?
It signals that the specific provisions, the details, are still being actively negotiated and refined.
Okay, so they're still hammering things out?
Exactly. It's pretty common for complex or, contentious legislation, especially in areas like firearms.
Yeah.
It just means they're still hashing out the details before it moves forward again. It's currently pending there.
That dynamic, the re-referral back to committee, definitely highlights that active negotiation, like you said. Okay, let's dive into the specifics then. What's in this bill? Starting with licensing.
Right.
This sounds like it could be a massive shift for anyone holding or even just applying for a firearm license in California.
Yeah.
What are the key proposed changes in vetting and eligibility?
You're right. This section is pretty comprehensive. First, it proposes significantly expanded disqualifications.
Expanded how?
Well, a licensing authority would be prohibited from issuing a license if an applicant has been convicted of or subject to contempt of court or certain other specified criminal statutes within the last 10 years.
10 years. Okay.
And this applies even if the conviction was, say, under federal law or another state's law, as long as the basic elements of the crime are comparable to California statutes.
So it broadens the look back, basically.
Considerably, yes.
Yeah.
It broadens the scope of those disqualifying offenses.
What else?
Second, the bill introduces a new danger standard.
A danger standard.
Yeah. Licensing authorities would be required to incorporate information from the California Restraining and Protective Order System, the CROPS database, into their assessment.
Okay, and the goal there?
The stated goal is to determine if an applicant is reasonably likely to be a danger to self, others, or the community at large.
Wow. That sounds subjective.
It is a significant shift. It introduces this subjective, almost predictive element that it moves beyond just looking at past actions to an evaluation of potential future risk.
That seems like it could be tricky to apply consistently.
It could be. And it might also lead to increased costs for local agencies, because of the added assessment burden, developing guidelines, training.
Right. That danger standard. Are there potential legal challenges you foresee? Or different interpretations? How might it impact how licensing authorities actually operate day to day? Seems like it opens up a lot of discretion.
Indeed, that's a critical point. Standard like reasonably likely to be a danger could definitely face legal challenges, maybe on grounds of vagueness or due process.
Because defining danger objectively is hard.
Exactly. It might mean that licensing authorities have to develop really clear, defensible guidelines and train their staff thoroughly to ensure consistent application. Otherwise, you risk, really different outcomes depending on where you apply.
Makes sense. What else is in the licensing part?
Well, beyond that, the bill really emphasizes truthful disclosure. It would prohibit getting a license if you provide any inaccurate or incomplete information during the application process. Doesn't matter if it's for a new license, a renewal, or even an amendment. Any inaccuracy is a bar.
Strict.
Very. And maybe most importantly, there's a new continuous responsibility placed on licensees.
Continuous. How so?
They would have an ongoing duty to inform the local authority that issued their license of any new restraining order, arrest, charge, or conviction for one of those specified crimes.
So you can't just wait until renewal time?
Nope. This transforms the whole process from a one-time check or periodic check at renewal into dynamic, continuous monitoring.
Right.
It requires ongoing diligence from firearm owners themselves.
Wow, that shift to continuous monitoring feels incredibly significant. So for the average Californian, what are the most immediate new hurdles or responsibilities they'd face with these changes? How might this impact, say, the renewal process down the line?
Yeah, for current and future licensees, I think the biggest change is that ongoing duty to report. It means staying aware of any new legal issues or restraining orders involving them and proactively telling their licensing authority, not just waiting.
Okay.
For new applicants, the deeper background checks and that new danger assessment will likely make the initial process more rigorous, maybe longer too.
Got it.
But there's also a due process protection worth noting.
Oh.
Yeah, there's an exemption included for applicants who were previously subject to a restraining order if they didn't get proper notice and a chance to be heard before the order was issued. So it aims to protect individual rights in those specific situations.
Okay, that's an important nuance. Now, next up is a change that, honestly, at first glance, seems to go against the general trend in California. AB 1078 proposes to increase the number of firearms a person can apply to purchase within any 30-day period, moving from the current limit of 1 up to 3.
Right.
That sounds like a liberalization, doesn't it? What's going on there?
It does sound like it, but this apparent liberalization, you really have to understand it in context.
Okay.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, there's an existing federal district court order. Right now, that order has enjoined or stopped the enforcement of California's current 1 firearm in 30 days law.
Ah, okay, so the current law is on hold.
Effectively, yes, pending appeal. So this proposed increase to 3 firearms in 30 days looks like a strategic legislative maneuver.
Strategic how?
It seems like an attempt to reestablish some kind of regulation on purchase frequency, but one that might be more legally defensible, perhaps seen as less burdensome.
So it might survive legal challenges better than the 1-a-month rule.
That might be the thinking. It potentially enables some limit to withstand future legal scrutiny or the ongoing appeal. Essentially, it ensures some limit remains rather than facing a complete absence of controls if that court injunction is ultimately upheld.
That makes more sense in context.
Yeah, and the bill would also prohibit a firearm dealer from actually delivering a firearm if the Department of Justice, the DOJ, notifies them that the purchaser would exceed this new 3 firearm limit.
Okay.
It really raises an interesting question. What does this tell us about the state's long-term regulatory goals, even when they're facing these significant legal challenges? It suggests maybe a pragmatic approach sometimes, trying to maintain some control.
That's a fascinating insight into the legislative chess game happening there. Okay. The bill also introduces specific requirements for firearm license applicants who aren't California residents. What are those provisions about?
Yes, for non-California residents, the bill lays out a couple of key things. First, they'd be required to attest under oath that the jurisdiction where they applied is their primary location in California.
Primary location, meaning where they spend the most time.
Essentially, yeah, where they intend to travel or spend time primarily.
Yeah.
This seems aimed at preventing what some might call license shopping.
You mean applying in a county thought to be easier, even if you don't really spend time there?
Exactly. The goal is to establish a genuine connection to that specific part of the state for licensing purposes.
Okay, makes sense. What else for non-residents?
Additionally, non-resident applicants would also be required to complete live fire training.
Live fire. Is that different from what residents need?
It ensures parity. The idea is that individuals coming from other states might have very different training backgrounds or maybe none that meet California standards. This ensures they meet California's practical proficiency standards, demonstrating firearm handling skills, just like residents.
Gotcha. Ensuring everyone meets the same baseline for handling. Okay, finally, the bill addresses a very practical aspect for firearm owners: transportation. How does AB 1078 adjust the rules around carrying firearms, say, on public transit?
Right, this is about practicality. AB 1078 would create a specific exemption to the general rule.
An exemption for what?
A firearm that is unloaded and locked in a lockbox would be exempt from the general prohibition on carrying firearms on public transportation.
So buses, trains?
Yep, buses, trains, also associated buildings, real property, even parking areas that are under the control of a public transportation agency.
So if it's unloaded and locked up properly, you could take it on the bus or train.
That's what the exemption proposes, yes. It seems to acknowledge the practical necessity sometimes of transporting firearms under controlled conditions. You know, maybe going to a range or a gunsmith. It tries to balance that broad objective of preventing accessible firearms in public spaces with the realities faced by lawful owners who need to transport their firearms for legitimate reasons.
Okay, that clarifies the transportation piece. Now, looking at the bill overall, it's clear this isn't just a minor tweak here or there.
Not at all.
The source material we looked at highlights that this bill proposes modifications across numerous sections of the California Penal Code. It lists specific sections like 171.7, 26150, 26155, and, well, many others. What's the significance of touching so many different parts of the Penal Code, beyond just saying it's comprehensive?
That's actually a really key insight. The fact that it modifies so many specific penal code sections, not just one or two. These aren't just random numbers.
Right.
They point to how deeply this bill aims to rewrite the fundamental rules across the state's criminal law concerning firearms. It really reveals that AB 1078 isn't a minor adjustment. It's a comprehensive effort to overhaul multiple facets of California's firearms regulatory framework.
So it's all interconnected.
Exactly. It suggests a very deliberate and interconnected approach to policy here, where changes in one area, like, say, licensing, they necessitate conforming changes in other areas like purchase procedures or definitions or transport.
And make it all fit together.
Precisely. It looks like a strategic, holistic effort to close what are perceived as loopholes, maybe enhance enforcement mechanisms, and streamline various interconnected processes within California's existing, already complex firearms statutes.
Okay, so let's try and wrap this up. What's the practical upshot of all this? California Assembly Bill 1078, the 2025-2026 version. It's undeniably a pivotal piece of legislation.
Absolutely.
It's aiming to significantly alter California's firearms landscape through, enhanced scrutiny and licensing.
Yeah, much more vetting.
Adjusted purchase regulations, even if that 3 a month seems odd at first.
Right, the strategic adjustment.
And these clarified transportation rules.
If it gets signed into law, as is, or close to it, it would definitely bring new responsibilities for licensing authorities. They'll need new procedures.
Okay.
It would require greater diligence from applicants and also current licensees, that ongoing reporting duty.
Big change for owners.
And it modifies those existing purchase and transport protocols. All these changes would necessitate updates to administrative procedures for the DOJ, local police departments, sheriff's offices.
Lots of downstream effects.
For sure. And it would require increased awareness and compliance from firearm owners themselves and also from dealers.
And just to reiterate, while the bill does include that proposed increase in the 30-day purchase limit from 1 to 3,
Right.
which might seem counter to California's general trend, it really appears to be more of a tactical legislative adjustment, a response to that existing federal court injunction, rather than some fundamental shift away from the state's overall direction on gun control.
Indeed. I think its bill fits squarely within California's pretty consistent legislative trajectory, which has been towards progressively stricter firearm regulation over many years.
So it's still part of that larger trend.
It seems so. And, this raises a really important question for the future. As legislation like this, AB 2178, continues to evolve and face legal challenges, how might these multifaceted changes reshape the landscape, both for firearm owners and for public safety efforts here in the state over the long term, especially as these court battles continue to influence policy? It's a dynamic situation.
Definitely something to keep watching. We encourage you to continue following the progress of this specific bill, AB 2078, as it moves through the legislative process in the Senate. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive today.
We hope you enjoyed this week's episode. Tune in again.